Hello and welcome back to another episode of Global Falcons Podcast. I'm your host, Angela Hunter, and I'm here with
Andrew L.G. Hunter.
Your usual other host, who I'm interviewing today.
Yeah, it's a little strange. We had a scheduling issue with our next guest, Amy Wilhelm, and she is sick, which is totally fine. And I'm just going to fill in for her. And it kind of actually made sense. Like, we should probably know both sides of things, if we're going to ask people questions all the time. And I am an entrepreneur, a Métis entrepreneur, so it's quite fitting. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start
hit me with the questions.
Who is Andrew Hunter and Homes by Hunter Inc.?
Just Homes by Hunter?
We'll start with them.
Okay. Who is Andrew Hunter? Andrew Hunter, myself. Sounds weird. I'm an entrepreneur. I dabble in many things. I don't know, I'm a family man, a community man. I'm an artist. I'm an author. I'm an honored entrepreneur, Métis entrepreneur. So I don't know. I feel like these are all titles. Maybe I should get more deep about my answer. Who am I?
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay.
That was a tongue twister.
Yeah. Well, where to begin? When I was younger, I always knew I wanted to be successful. I never really knew what that meant. I knew that it meant hard work, and I knew that whatever I set my mind to, I needed to achieve. And it's like this, nagging in the back of my head that's like, you can't fail. You can't fail, And there's always been this fear of failure. So whatever I do it to the fullest, and I make sure to do it right. So to answer your first question, though, my main business is Homes by Hunter Inc. Due to a car accident, though, it's kind of runs without me now. Mm-hmm. Specializes in renovations, deals in rental properties, and basically a pillar for the community.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You want to go a little bit into other ventures that you have?
Sure. My fave. No, let's see. Okay, so I do the podcast here normally. Well, actually sitting here, but normally giving or asking the questions.
Yeah.
I'm also right now working tirelessly. Yeah. I'm working tirelessly towards my candidacy for the WR2A Regional Director for Métis Nation. I just want to bring a lot of value. Like I said, my business now runs without me. You know this. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for more of something that fulfills me in a way that's more than just money, And for me, I'm at a point in my life where, I could just wash my hands of everything and just kind of do whatever. But I want to be useful to the communities and the people around me. And more importantly, for myself, I want, when I leave this world, I want there to be something of me left behind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does anybody else feel that way? I don't know. I just want my life to have meant more and to be recognized when I'm gone. So the history books, that's what I'm after. And to do that, you can't just think about yourself. You need to think about everybody. So I don't know, did I adequately answer your questions?
Yeah. So what made you decide to run for the Western Regional 2A director position? It's a long title.
It is for sure. Well, my main focuses with that is housing, economic development, and healthcare. Now, over the years, over my life, these are all things that I've gained knowledge in. Economic development, obviously, from the businesses I've created and run, and for housing, my God, since the beginning of like my work industry, I've done like things with my hands, carpentry wise, and that usually always has been on a home. It has been, in mines. Worked in those, a little bit of the oil field, which I really liked actually, but that's more of a pipe fitting thing. But still, working with your hands, and yeah, I just see like a lot of like cracks in the systems and the programs that are out there for people, and like if I see them, other people must see them, and it's almost like they've stalled out because nobody knows really how to fill these cracks or better these programs. Whereas I think outside the box. I'm very quick thinker. I can, solve problems really well, and in like the most bizarre ways. Most most of the time, it's comical, but at the same time, it's these solutions to problems. They're always met with like an applause. Like people are very surprised, and it always helps people. And like I said, that goes with the thing that I really want the most, right? Is being remembered. And so this was just a great way to be able to do all of those things and, be useful to my community.
Yeah. And housing security is like a bit personal for you too, because you grew up in Sass Native homes, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that memory up. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I grew up in Sass Native homes, and I know how important it is to need that security, So that's why, like, she's my wife. We we own rental properties, and we do that because we wanted to create an environment where people woke up every day and felt, like a better version of themselves just by being in the rooms that they were in. So to do this, we do artisan feature walls. We do these Métis inspired features throughout homes that, like I said, just create a different environment where people feel like they want to get up and, not just better themselves, but the people around them. And they create those vibes in their own life, and then it passes on to the people around them as soon as they leave the home. So it's, like we're trying to do something within the homes, and that's based off of my childhood of like, living in the homes I did. But we're also expanding past that. When people leave their homes, they're bettering the communities around them just by just a simple smile, by a certain vibration that they give off within the community. That almost ripples, you could say, through a whole ecosystem, and it's great to see. And the people that we do have renting from us, they love it. And I'm always quick to be like, is there anything do you think I can add? Is there anything, like, we try to make them also like extremely livable, where it's the living of ease, I guess you could say, where I take so much time with each rental where I look around and I'm like, what would I want to see? What would make my life easier? And then I just incorporate that. And I know, like, yeah, for all these other housing companies out there, that's not feasible for them. But like, I don't care about money, I care about results. And when the results speak for themselves and the people are happy, I mean, what more do you need? Right? I think long term, not short term, and I think in the big picture. So.
And the healthcare is also fairly personal as well. Both you and your mom have gone through some not great healthcare experiences in the last couple of years, I would say.
Yeah, that's to put it lightly.
Yeah.
I was in a car accident and nearly took my life. My head bounced off my shoulder. It was a T-bone style accident, and rocked my world, to say the least. But to dig into it more, there was a problem with the first X-ray, and it was around that 5 o'clock time when people are kind of just done with their their work, right? And they just want to go home. And it was hard for the person to believe that, like, I just walked in there, and I'll say I didn't walk in there easily. It was excruciating. And the first 10 months, based on this first X-ray, were hell, for lack of better words. It taught me a lot of patience. It taught me, I don't know, I guess I want to say it humbled me a little bit to, like, the world around me. I used to think I was, like, invincible, and then something like this happened to me, and it was hard to be around anybody when I was in that much pain. I'm still in pain to this day, but, like, I treat it. It's manageable. That's why I had to get off the tools. I can't, like, a lot of impact things, a lot of weightlifting. Like, before the accident, I was training for an Ironman. I mean, you know all this. It feels weird talking to you about this because, like, all this, but yeah, so my experience wasn't great based on a faulty X-ray. I later got another X-ray, 2 MRIs, and it showed that, there was severe, and, like, I use the word severe not lightly. Like, there was severe traumas to my neck region, which led to my arm. Like, most of my arm, I don't even feel, which is strange. Stranger. But it's something that I deal with now, and like I said, I'm no stranger to pain now, and I think it's made me a better person, to be honest. Had I not gone through that, maybe humility, whatever you want to call it, would be a little bit different. I can level with people a lot more. I know exactly how hard it is in any system. I've been through the system in multiple ways, and not just a car accident. I've been to prison when I was young, dumb, and it can be challenging. And I've made multiple businesses, nonprofit. I've published a book. Been honored as an entrepreneur in Saskatchewan, top 5, top 10 in North America. I've been on multiple podcasts. I've been on the news. I sound like I'm bragging now. But these are the credentials that I've gained while being an entrepreneur. And I know I've come from nothing to all of these things. And I totally understand. And I understand on the side of housing. I understand on the side of the healthcare, and I understand what people need to succeed. And that is the most important thing that I can stress here, is that I know better than most how, I shouldn't say most, I know better than the people that I'm running against. I know what people need a lot more, and I'm not just out for a paycheck with it too, right? So it's like I said, I'm into it for a multitude of reasons, and the main one is to help the people, and that's the main goal, right? Whereas other people's goals, and that's a big problem. That goes right back to the car accident, right? It's like people are just there for a paycheck. They want to clock in, clock out, and go home, right? And that's not ideal, right? And later in the car accident, it was figured out that I was completely right about all these pains and things that I'm having now. It's totally chronic, and I can't even get rid of it. So it's challenging. My mom, she went through healthcare as well, and she fell down some stairs, just about died. 15 stairs. Anyone who falls down that, it's usually not great for them. But in her case, strong woman.
Very. Yeah.
She's always been stubborn, but this showed how strong she truly was, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I didn't like seeing that, but we were quick to, like, tell people what to do. Everybody had a job to do, and it saved her life. She was bleeding from her head. She had multiple broken bones. Her skin detached from her hip. She had to get a new elbow. But when she went to the hospital the first time, they only half diagnosed all of her things.
Yeah.
And then they were like, they base it on a chart, and they're like, well, no, it says we've already gone through all your things. You're fine. Here's some painkillers, and this will make your life better. Like, no, still in pain. And then, they're like, oh, we need your bed. To a Métis woman, they're like, we need your bed. So you got to go now. And we've scheduled you in for a new elbow. So you can come back when that's ready. So go home with your broken bones there and an undiagnosed double, I don't know, how would you say that? A double broken bone in her other arm.
Yeah, which they didn't even look at.
Yeah, and then I think they sewed her head shut, and she was bleeding so bad it started to like bulge up because it was like a really bad split in her head, and she had like a small brain bleed. Like, they could have killed her by doing that. Yeah. But luckily, she works in the healthcare system, and she went to her hospital, St. Paul's, instead of RUH, and they helped her, and they gave her a full scan. They're like, yeah, your other arm's busted in 2 places.
Which they had to re-break to do the surgery.
Yeah, because it was so long that it started to heal broken.
Yeah.
Like, my God, man. So, yeah, I wish I didn't know the knowledge that I know about our system and where it's lacking. And, like, this is no secret. Our healthcare has been falling apart the last few years ever since COVID. Yeah. People are overworked. They're overstressed. They're not getting the necessary sleep they need because there's not enough people to work.
Yeah,
and that's just on the front line.
Yeah, the baby boomers coming to that age where they're a strain on the healthcare system, and we don't have the supports for them.
Yeah, and like that's why with my candidacy, like I'm instilling this idea that I've come up with. Like I said, I'm an ideas man. That like we need to be proactive about people's healthcare. We need to get to it first. Okay, so prior to somebody needing medical attention, like if I don't want to say make this new version of humans where they're like ultra strong or whatever. Like we're not building robots here, but maintaining your body enough where it could withstand like an illness or an injury or something like that, where it's minor and you're going to a minor clinic instead of filling the hospital, right?
Yeah, I'm sure what saved your mom is she's quite
she
active.
Walks every day. Yeah, she walked every day.
And yoga, she did a lot of yoga, so that probably helped too. So having those preventative measures, I think makes a big difference.
Well, she's getting into an age where she understands that like, the more you do now, the longer you're going to live. Yeah. Right? And that's just what people need to get. So like my idea here is that we kind of infiltrate these civic centers. These are government-owned buildings on Métis land, Treaty 6 land, that can be, they don't need to be charging Métis citizens to even use these facilities. When there is a clear health mandate that they take Métis citizens, our healthcare, to a higher standard than anybody else. And I know that might sound bad for some of the other people out there, but you got to understand where we've come from, okay? And the lack of support we had before is why we need it now. It's about making reconciliation a real thing, So I think, if we can ensure that Métis citizens don't have to pay for this membership, they can have, swimming, they can have weightlifting, they can have extracurricular activities that will help, not just their healthcare, but it's going to help their mental state, which I guess is their healthcare, and it's going to help the communities grow and make people, come together in a an environment that's not just for one person. You get to share an experience, you get to build onto that. And I think that's really special. So that's why I really want to make that a reality here, right? So that's my thing. That's just one thing for healthcare. I've got a slew of ideas.
So going back to sort of our questions that we ask everyone who's
oh my God,
where
yeah,
you are.
Jeez.
Oh, that's great. That was the who are you? So now let's move into the.
Oh, what is that, like an hour? No, I'm kidding.
No. So what gave you the drive to achieve success as an entrepreneur?
The drive to success. The fear of failure comes down to that. It's a simple answer. Maybe how I've come to that isn't so simple. I'm sure that comes back to like needing approval. I went to a fine arts school when I was younger, and I seen all of these like rich people, these different types of families that I was not used to really seeing in my home environment and everywhere else, right? So I seen these people, and they like all their parents like had businesses and things like that, and they were seen different in a different light than, well, even when I was at the school, I was never really seen. I was never, I've always never, I've never been like truly accepted on either side. You know what I mean? Like with my skin tone, it's hard to be accepted in the indigenous realm. That's why I love, being Métis. It's like, it's so obvious to people that like when you're Métis, you're a mix, you're a half breed.
Mm-hmm.
This is an expected color. My complexion is expected, but back then in the 90s, it was like, I had to keep quiet. I had to keep quiet. And, there's a lot of people eventually, basically the entire school that ended up knowing, but, I'd be called names or whatever, but yeah, I was never really accepted with the colonial side, and I'm never really accepted with the indigenous side. And that was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I got off course there. Did I answer the question properly? What was the question?
What gave you the drive to achieve success as an entrepreneur?
Right. So seeing all of that really made me want to achieve more. Right. And then it just became like an addiction of just wanting more, wanting to achieve more. And, at first maybe it did start as looking for that approval, looking for that acceptance, but then it got to the point where it was just like, now I just want to, one up myself every other time, and it just kept on going. So, and that's why, like I'm only 33. I've accomplished all these things, which lots of people are like, oh, you've done so much. Me, I don't feel it. And I think that's like every person who ends up sitting there, right, on the other podcasts or episodes and the future ones. Any entrepreneur, it's like you never feel like you're doing enough. Am I tapping too much?
A little bit.
You don't like that?
No.
Okay.
I just feel like the mics are going to pick it up a lot.
Okay. Well,
sorry.
I keep doing it. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like any successful person doesn't feel like they're being successful enough. So, next question.
What is one piece of advice you would give to others who are just starting out as entrepreneurs?
Oof. You are going to be ridiculed from anyone you know that isn't doing the same thing you're doing. That's okay. That is okay. Mm-hmm. You just got to fight through that. And eventually people will see what you see, because people only know what you show them. And people can't read your mind, so you need to show them, and that takes time. So don't give up, keep going, and you will show the people what they need to see. Harry Houdini once said, how did he say that? Never let the audience see how good you are. Something like that. And then like, how did that go? You should look that up for me. Harry Houdini. Never show the audience how good you are. In time, they'll see. Something like that.
I feel like this is going to take too long.
Yeah, to look that up. I'm sure that's what it is.
Okay.
And there's something to that, No, never tell the audience. That's what it is. Never tell the audience how good you are. In time, they'll see. So just keep going. Don't stop. Keep going.
What are the 3 most important habits to be a successful entrepreneur?
Structure. Mm-hmm. Structure is so big. Consistency. Passion. Structure, consistency, passion.
Those are big ones, yeah.
SCP.
So what is your passion is building homes.
Honestly, ever since I've been trying to figure out, it's always been homes, yeah, and like, but I think deeper than that, it's just creating something from nothing, and whatever that may be, the real like love of anything that I'm doing is watching something come to fruition. That's so big for me, and I just gives me chills sometimes when I see whatever I'm doing come to the vision that I had,
Mm-hmm.
So,
what is the biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur?
Biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur is you're going to be so misunderstood for like ever. So the biggest challenge is like keeping your vision in front of you and patting yourself on the back to get there, because it's like I said, you're going to be misunderstood the entire time until people are like, oh, so that's what you were doing, So that's the biggest struggle, being your own cheerleader.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
When did you realize your business idea had the potential to be successful?
When I worked for somebody else, and they just started asking me what we should be doing every day, and then I was like, I mean, things look pretty good around here. Maybe I should try to do this myself. And then it was like, I didn't really know how to price things. Oh my God, this is so funny. I didn't know how to price things. I was so like, oh man, such a rookie when I started out. But
like everyone.
Yeah, I guess. But like, I literally like priced things that I thought that I could do it for, not what it was worth.
Mm-hmm.
So I like my first basement, I charged like $7,500 for a full basement like development, which is insane.
Yeah.
That's even the permitting, that's drawing the blueprints of everything, right? The floors, walls, ceilings, doors, finishings, casings, baseboards, fixtures, everything you could think of. Plumbing, oh my God, everything. And I did it for $7,500. And then at the end, the homeowner came up to me. He's like, you want to know why I went with you? And I was like, why? He's like, I'm going to tell you because you're done now. But everybody else who came and quoted this basement, they all quoted around $80,000. And I was like, my heart just sunk. I was like, oh, that hurts so much to know that like I did it for a tenth, less than a tenth of the cost. And I was like, oh my God, how do I price that? How do I price that? And then I realized something, that it's like, it's the value you bring. It's not so much what you can do something for, right? And borderline, I was like charging like just materials, right? And that's like, I didn't see the value in the things I was doing because they came so easy to me, but if something's easy to you, it's because you're good at it. And if you're good at it, you should never do that for cheap, So it was a tough lesson.
A little bit, but
everyone's got to learn somewhere. Yeah, and luckily it was on the first one. I didn't find out like 10, 20 of them later.
Yeah.
At least the guy was real with me, and I appreciate that. So
when did you decide to take the leap and fully commit to starting your business?
Ooh. So I guess the leap of faith, and oh my God, I can remember it like it was like yesterday. My heart was like racing, and I knew what needed to be done, but I didn't know exactly how to like trust that it was going to work out. Because that's the one thing about being an entrepreneur, is that you blindly go into bold places where other people don't, and you don't know if it's going to work out. You have to believe it's going to work out, and you have to see this vision through. And like, I didn't know, I just knew that I was unhappy in the job that I had. It didn't fulfill me enough, and like, God, like hundreds and hundreds of homes that I worked on. It was never enough. I just hated it, and I think it might have had a lot to do with the work culture, but like, I knew I needed to do something else. And then when on the side, I was juggling both. I was doing my full-time job of like full labor intensive work. And then I was also doing for another like 4 to 5 hours after that. I was doing maybe even more, like 6 hours. I think now I'm thinking of a clock, and I would do more labor intensive work and I'd have to work twice as hard. And I was like, this is crazy. I was like, how do I make that shift to like, let's do it. I was like, there's never going to be a right moment. I just need to believe in myself and make that jump. So blindly went into the bold, right? And I made the jump and never looked back.
Yeah, I remember that conversation of you and me talking about you wanting to just full-time do the business. And it was a little scary because I was a student at the time. So I was not working. But it worked out great for us.
It did.
We were both chasing our dreams. And as someone who was in school going for my dream, and you came to me saying you wanted to chase your dream, like, how could I say no to that?
Yeah.
No, my dream is more important. Thank you.
Actually, my dream is that you keep working.
No, but I think it worked out great.
It did.
You put a lot of hard work into it.
Yeah, man. Worth it. Worth every second. Especially like every client, until I made the shift to like just doing our own rental properties and growing that way, which was a whole nother a whole nother leap. A whole nother leap of faith there. But like I always went into each client and each interaction thinking that they would be a lifelong client. And that's really important. If you put in that much time, care, and attention into each client and making them not just a quick sale, but you're making them into a lifelong client, your business is gonna blow up. And like what I did in 5 years, for the first 5 years, takes most people like 10 years, right? So yeah, don't screw anybody, and give more than you're taking, and you'll be fine.
That kind of sort of the last question bleeds into this next question about why did you want to become an entrepreneur?
Well, I'm an excellent leader, but I can be difficult to work with. And when I see things not working efficiently, well, I'm like, I could just do this better, And that's one of the things that we like to do all the time. We're like, if we see a new business or something, we're like, how could this run better, And then when I know that, it's like, well, I can just do it then, right? Why did I want to be an entrepreneur? Because I could.
So why do you believe entrepreneurship is important for Métis citizens?
Oh man, this goes back to our roots, This goes back to the fur trades. Like we're the original business people of Canada. It's so important now because for a while it was like suppressed for us to not be involved in business, and if we were, wasn't very well accepted. So now that it is, it's so important that our youth get more involved into it. No matter what it is, just find a passion of any sort and just like build on that, right? And you can think to yourself, like, that was a big thing for me, is like how, because it's been ingrained into me that like, I mean, it's not so much like that now, but when I was growing up, it's like, you're only going to be one thing, and that's the bottom of the totem pole, and it's like, no, imagine who you want to be, the best parts of yourself, and then just slowly develop it over time. There's no limits, and you'll continue to grow, but you need to know that like you can become a better version of yourself. As long as you believe and you see that and you work towards it. You know, our last podcast guest, he said the power of your mind is where our minds are very powerful, you know, and he's 100% right. What you believe and what you make action towards will come true, as long as you see it, every detail, and you work towards it vigorously. You're gonna get it. 100%. That's the laws of attraction. Jack Hanfield, look that up. It's huge.
So why do you believe your product or service is unique compared to others in the market?
Well, there's a major need for housing in Saskatchewan, Canada. So actually, maybe in the whole world.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot of, in a lot of these other countries, there's a lot of turmoil in terms of like weather anomalies and things messing up entire lands and homes. So, there's migration happening right now. And I mean, there's a migration that we haven't seen in the last couple hundred years. It's moving fast. And we need more homes for that. Now, yeah, there's going to be like some 3D printed homes and stuff, but I like the old brick and mortar, right? That's my jam. That's what I know well. And I don't have like a 50-foot 3D printer. So I do what I can. What was the question? So I don't mess this up.
Why do you believe your product or service is unique?
It's unique. Its uniqueness comes mostly from the artisan features, right? Like lots of people do homes, like this wall here, that wall there. They're plain. Yeah, it's got a picture there, very nice picture. But like most homes are just like a box. I'm like, what is that? You should be able to be a kid, even like look at a wall and be just inspired and like get your creativity wheels turning in your head just from like staring off into what used to be called nothing, but now will be called an artisan feature wall, right? So my product, my service to the community is special because of the things it unlocks for each person.
Can I just tote one of the features you have in one of our suites that I love?
Yeah.
You had found wood from downtown Saskatoon that
I
was
love
very
that.
old. Yeah.
And that is one of my favorite mantles.
Yeah, it had a nice little crack in it, so you put it as a mantle and carved North Saskatchewan River and did an epoxy river.
I actually found a spot that was very close to that too, and then on the tail end, I just had to change it a little bit.
Yeah,
but it did match up to the spot on the map, which is cool.
Yeah, and you did like the little compass rose, and then epoxied it and finished it, and it looks beautiful.
Oh,
it's amazing mantle.
Yeah, it's a and that's another thing too. When taking tenants into these homes and they see them and their jaws drop, and they're like, oh my god, and like they all fall in love. Like I remember for that particular suite, we listed that and we had 50 replies, over 50, I think.
Yeah.
In the first like half an hour.
It was insane.
Yeah, and like everybody wanted it, and we're like, oh my god, well we gotta pick people that are right for us and for the cause. So that's what we did.
How do you navigate major challenges and setbacks? Which clearly you've had a lot.
Yeah, that's
the car accident being the major one.
Oh my god, man. Okay, my entire life, people have underestimated me. Because I don't. I guess it's my fault. I don't really stop them from thinking this way. I don't try to because like I said with the Harry Houdini, you shouldn't have to tell the audience how good you are. In time, they'll see, right? So just with that, I have so many setbacks, but like in the end, I always win. I mean, it came off wrong, but you know what I mean. I navigate them just one problem at a time. There's always going to be things that arise. There's always going to be like these hurdles, you could call them, But the more problems you solve, the faster and better at problem solving you get. So like, it just never ends. If you go into any situation, you're like, oh man, one problem here is really gonna screw up my whole project, my whole day, my whole life. You know, it's like, it's not a very good mindset to have. And then when these problems do arise, it's like a meltdown scenario instead of like solving, thinking outside the box, and moving to the next thing.
So just one problem at a time?
One problem at a time, baby.
How do you manage your time effectively when juggling the multiple priorities that an entrepreneur has?
Man, time management. I've been obsessed with time for like so long, probably since I was a kid and seeing Back to the Future. And then I just, amazing. But like, and there's the movie for the for the podcast. We always do one movie suggestion every podcast. But yeah, I've been obsessed with time and time management. The Sumerians, they actually were the ones who came up with a clock. And I implore everyone to go and take a look at why that is. But before that, it was based on sand. But to answer your question, I manage my time by I guess you could say an agile approach. So over time, the more you do the things you do, you learn how to do them efficiently. So then you know how much time it's going to take to do something, and then you can kind of plan your day as such, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, it just takes time. So I guess trial, error, and an agile approach. That's how I adequately deal with my time management on a daily. So.
And how do you identify and capitalize on emerging market trends?
I look back at history. That's so big. Everything works in a cycle. So I take a step back and I'm like, okay, this is kind of what I'm seeing happening right now. Let me go back in time, like not physically, but actually there's...
In your DeLorean?
Yeah, in my DeLorean. Actually, our bodies are like a physical thing, right? That are in the now and go into the future with time. But our minds are the one thing in the world that can travel back in time and ahead of time and be in the present just with our thoughts, which is really cool. Random side fact there, but oh no, I got off track now.
Capitalizing on emerging
right. So
trends.
I look back in our history through the internet, and I see what kind of matches up with the time we're in right now. Like I said, everything's in a cycle, so you just kind of look until you find something that, oh, hey, this just happened, this is kind of happening. Even even nature works in cycles. That's why we have seasons, and then you extrapolate that even more, and there's like, every 100 years the same things kind of happen. We just had a bunch of volcanoes go off, and those are timed. Like everything works in a cycle. So just kind of mash some things up. Look to our economy. Look to the world powers that be. Because those
the
always
Bitcoin halving cycle.
Yeah, Bitcoin halving cycle, sure. And whatever it is, there's a cycle to it. So just match it up, and then move a little forward from that matchup period, and then you can be like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen next. So then you're like, okay, then maybe I should do this because that's the obvious reason, or that's the obvious answer here. The solution is right there. If it hasn't happened in the past, it's happened very similar. I realize that, like, well, AI, that hasn't happened, but there's been times that have changed. Like, there's different revolutions that happen, and those are cycles too. And like the Industrial Revolution led to, like, okay, people worked less. Okay, well, so what are we going to see now? We're already seeing it, 4-day work weeks. Okay, so
love that.
Yeah, right. And eventually, when AI and humanoids kind of work, symbiotically together, then there's going to be even less.
2-day work week.
It could be, because that's the obvious next solution that is going to make people happy, is more leisure time, right? And that's one of the things that we've put into our rental properties, is like, how do we make people live a life of more leisure? Well, there you go. And we came to that conclusion, and we're ahead of the curve because of looking back.
So talking about leisure time and 4-day work week and stuff, how do you create work-life balance?
As somebody who is an entrepreneur in multiple ventures, I just pick things to work on that I'm passionate about, so that it never really feels like work. Work-life balance, I don't believe it really exists. I think that, like, I'm even like I started this off, like, I'm at a point where I don't necessarily need to go and do things, but I do because I like to, right? So for people like myself who are miserably never satisfied, there is no work-life balance. So, I mean,
you don't have to create it. You just love what you do, and that's your balance.
Yeah, when you do something that you like enough, you don't even look at a clock, right? So there's no reason to. And like, I mean, I've been married however long, but I've been with you for like 18 years, right? Obviously, the things I'm doing and the things with our kids, it aligns already. So maybe I don't see it the way that other people do, but for me and the type of person I am, I think work is life. So it's hard for me to understand a balance between that, because whatever I want to be doing, I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great. Do you have any last thought or piece of advice?
Maybe that's why I put that question in there for other people, because I'm still trying to figure that out.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you have any advice or last thought you want to give to entrepreneurs?
I am happy that it's the last thought here, because I've got to go to the bathroom so bad. But a last thought or advice: never give up on your dreams, because they're yours, and nobody can tell you how to dream. Nobody can tell you the things you should be doing. It's you. So never give up and achieve your goals.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. You would have been anyway, but thank you for being a guest and taking on the spotlight and answering some questions.
Thank you.
And
thank you for having me. It's such a wonderful show. And I've watched every episode.
Yeah, your favorite podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's everything.
Okay, well, please vote for me for your Western Regional 2A Director candidate. Or I guess just Director. I'm your candidate. And thanks for stopping in. This has been the Global Falcons Podcast.